All right, welcome in everybody. Happy Friday night to each and every one of you out there. We got a fun show lined up for you tonight. As always, we don't have Mr. Producer here tonight though, so for somehow or another, I'm going to have to fill his shoes, and he's got very big ones. So I'm going to do the best I can. We'll make it go as good as we can. Joining us as always, we've got the snooty lady that only comes and hangs out with us, pours, just to write it off on her taxes. How you doing there at Gutters Pub?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing well. Glad to have you here. Joining us, as always, tonight, we've got our token mad scientist out there shocking himself faster than he can shock the world. How you doing tonight there, Nathan?
Baker's got big ones. It's going to be a fun show.
Good to have you here. And the mouth of Houston joining us, as always. How you doing tonight there, LW?
Hey, what's up, good people? Glad to be here. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. Good time, as always, here on Friday night. We have our token redheaded stepchild jumping back in here with us as well tonight. How you doing there, Tombstones?
I'm doing great. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, good to have you here. And joining us tonight, we got a hell of a duo, Doug and John from the Wendibros. How you doing tonight, Doug?
Doing great, and happy to be back on Abbinormal after a little while.
I know it, man. I'm glad to have you back. John, you as well. How you doing tonight there, John?
I'm doing great. Excited to see what we're going to talk about tonight.
All right. Well, I hope you know what we're talking about, because this is on you. Well, good to have you, everybody, here. Thanks a lot, people coming in. I already see we got a bunch of beautiful faces coming in here. Gumby, Matt Dummett, Gene, Karen from HR. We've got, who else? Budman's wife up in here. We've got, let's see, TK. What's going on, TK? Good to see you. Vic2 Productions coming in here saying, hey. Let's see, we've got Wasabi over there. Wasabi, good to see you. We got two awesome dogs up in here. We got Ann coming in here. Ernie Birdie, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Joey Foster in there as well. Dozer, the Silent Forgotten. Let's see, the Wendibros in there in the chat. If I missed your name, didn't do it on purpose. Sit back, show's about to start.
Would you mind telling me whose brain I did put in?
And you won't be angry?
I will not be angry.
Abby someone.
Abby someone. Abby who?
Abby normal.
Abby normal.
Listening to the ASN Podcast Network.
All right. Once again, thanks a lot, everybody, for being here. I don't know why this is still up there. Guess it's my job to bring it down. There we go. We got something going right or wrong. We'll figure it out. So, yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, for being here. Please make sure you have hit that thumbs up no matter where you are tuning in from. We are live over here at Traveling Fools on YouTube, live on X. We're live on LWs. We're live on Old Man Builds. I don't know, Facebook, YouTube. We're live on Gutters Pub. I think she's over there on something called Twitch or something. And YouTube. I think we're live on Wendibros as well. We're live on Tombstones as well. So, I mean, Lord knows, I see a bunch of you already flowing in here. Thanks a lot for being here, no matter where you're coming from. Good to see all you people in the chat. Thanks for being here. So, Wendibros, what's going on, guys? Good to have you back on.
Glad to be back. Yeah, it's been a little while, but yeah, we always love coming on here and talking to you guys. It's good to see everybody again.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think last time we talked to you guys, you were, doing a lot of different stuff, getting involved. Kind of tell everybody who you are, what you got going on, just fill everybody in. Everybody here might not remember who you were.
All right. Do you want to go or you want me to go?
Whatever you want.
All right. Well, we are the Wendibros, and we are a paranormal investigative group, but we've kind of gone back to our roots a little bit. We're kind of calling ourselves anomalous archivists. So really what we are at heart, and I think John hit the nail on the head a couple months back, that at our core, we're always talking to people, real people, and being their bros. And I think what we tend to overlook a lot of, especially in the paranormal community, is that we always want to focus on, and it's important that we focus on the history of these areas and these very important places. But it's also, if we're going to progress further and do new things, that we listen to the average everyday folks out there, because they usually have a lot of incredible stories to tell. And if we're to get new folklore and preserve the folklore and the word of mouth passing on, Well, that's where we kind of step in on that. So we're here to archive that and really drive that home. So we are your bros, and so again, we're still in the world of the paranormal, but at our heart, John said it best that we're also investigative reporters at times too.
Yeah, we just like to, it's we have the most fun when we get out and we meet new people and learn new experiences because we've been going seeing different places and we don't want to do the same things that everyone else is doing because how many times can you tell the same story and make it interesting, so I think it's important that we go out and we meet new people and we get some experiences and talk to them about them.
Right.
Or just a fun story.
Right. No, and I get that. And, like you said, it's fun to go out there and meet new people, that's why we have fun here, bringing, different people on, talking, hearing different people's stories, hearing a lot of, different stuff, keeping the different conversations. So let me ask you guys real quick. I know, we were talking about drama in communities there for a second right before we went live. Did you see, speaking of your Bigfoot hat, did you see the drama that all went on in the Bigfoot communities with the Patterson Gremlin or whatever the hell it's called, new film coming out where the whole Bigfoot communities were fighting with each other? Did y'all catch that?
No. I think the only thing I'd seen is where they were, where they may have debunked the initial footage. Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah.
Okay,
so it totally split all the Bigfoot community down the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So these people were fighting with these people. And we did a video. We had a guy, real knowledgeable guy come on. And I'm still getting comments on the video of people arguing in the comment section of that video about the Bigfoot thing. I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah, it's and it's so funny though because I feel like John and I we get stuck. I think whenever we first started, we got stuck on Appalachia. Then we got really stuck on Bigfoot, specifically like the Alabama white thing, and we still get requests to go out there and look for Bigfoot, which I've thought about driving out to Ohio to examine all the Bigfoot sightings out there and see what's going on in the realm of Bigfoot. But it's like we always get to a point where, okay, we're sick of Bigfoot, we're sick of aliens, and
right.
Give us something new. Yeah, but
and I get the same way. That's why I like keeping it, different things, different. Right, exactly. Because there's only so long you can talk about one topic before, to me, it just gets boring. It's like, okay, this is boring. So what have y'all been doing now? Like, what's your latest project that you're working on?
Well, right now, our biggest project is what we're dubbing Case File Abyss, and we are in many ways going back to the Euroshrine, which we released, a very lengthy 2-hour documentary about last year, but it's not to actually go there and do anything paranormal. And I think a lot of folks out there that would probably be listening to this, watching this, the Euroshrine was subject to many episodes and documentaries featured on paranormal mysteries, featured on Scare Network, a lot of Dave Schrader, Shane Pittman. For us though, we always found the shrine to be a very different type of place. It was a very peaceful place, and we found the most fascinating part of that place to be Rick. I brought Rick some Christmas gifts of all times, and so I actually met him last year, and we had really got into discussion about the current state of the world right now. And a lot of that had to do with, attachments and Oni attachments. And for those that aren't listening, Oni is Japanese for demon. But it also boiled down to attachments, within Pentecostal. And we even talked so far as about the Epstein case files, the Diddy files, celebrity culture in general. And we really wanted to dive into that. And the Epstein case files, the Diddy files.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
I can hear myself now.
Right, exactly.
It's a ghost.
Exactly.
I have ascended. No. But yeah, so it's really to talk about, the mass paranoia that's really going on in the world. And it's not just a political thing. It's really kind of across the board. And we had done an interview with Ken 10 Paranormal. And, I at the end of that interview, he said, well, Doug, John, what are conspiracy theories that you believe in. And I think that, the full expectations that we were going to say something about ghost or Bigfoot. And I said, I think that we're in a mass psyop. And I think John said 9/11 was an inside job,
Yep.
and so we just kind of turned it on its heel a little bit. So, and that's really what we're going into with this documentary. And I don't say this lightly. It really is truly the darkest territory that we're going into, because we are going to be looking at things that are truly scary, not ghosts, nothing like that, but things that are really, being documented and truly going in the world, whether it's your Epstein's or your Kenneth Copeland's and Pentecostal and, mass psychosis, indoctrination. I find those things infinitely more terrifying than what I would find in an abandoned home.
Yeah.
Sounds like
That's
a trip
very cool.
to Washington to meet some Democrats.
Well, both sides, buddy. It's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to pick on any one person because it is across the board. It's everywhere. I mean, people are so much scarier than ghosts, in my opinion.
Oh,
I was
really?
going to say that
Really.
it's
Yeah.
more frightening because it's human on human.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not like the unknown out there.
Well, and I believe that a lot of, what we see out there, and especially just in the paranormal world, that there's less to do with, things that go bump in the night, and more with the psychology behind it. I think that a lot of things are being manifested through our own minds and what we realize. And whenever Rick brought that to our attention, he said, I just really want to get ahead of this. He told us some incredible stories. And the thing about Rick is that, whenever we first went there and met him, we heard outlandish things from him that were all 100% true. Once we actually did, cross-reference and checking and, fact-checking him, and it's all in our initial documentary with him, is that everything that he told us was true. And I won't give too much away, but the story that he told us last week that we were there, it was, we believed him, but it's one of those things that are unbelievable until he actually brought out physical proof of it. And it, kind of melted my brain a little bit. I'm not going to speak for John on that, but it certainly did.
So is this one that you're just now starting to film? Like you had been, hadn't you already started another film that you're working on that is almost done, and now you're starting on this one? Is that? Am I hearing that right?
Yeah. So we are actually in the B-roll side of things for our Appalachian witchcraft documentary, which we begin shooting in July, and we'll be meeting a number of granny witches, esoteric witches. We'll go
Explain
all
what
the
that
way.
is.
Esoteric. So
or granny witches. I'm
Yeah.
sorry to be ignorant on the topic, but yeah, I have no idea what that means.
John, I'm going to let you take this one.
So the in this area, in the Appalachians, there were a lot of people were isolated, and everybody here has somebody in their family a couple of generations back, and they had a granny or an aunt or somebody, and they always had these remedies. They would say, you come and take this little bit of lemon juice and so and it'll get rid of your stomach, or and it's more than just that, but I don't know, there's this weird kind of quiet subculture that kind of runs underneath the Appalachians, and there's like this, like my mom used to always talk about her great aunt. They called her Witchy Poo. She was born with a caul over her face, when like part of the lining when she was born came out, and apparently that's supposed to be a sign that you have the second side, or so there's a lot of people around here, and it's still based in they still base it in Christianity. There's not like witch, so to speak, but there's this. It's very strange that a lot of the older people around this area would have these kind of medicinal things that they learned, and most of it's just kind of like folk remedies, but it does have this underlying not a cult, but strangeness to it, and so that's kind of what we're.
I would say it's almost kind of an ethereal feeling in a way. It's what a lot of it goes into, and I would say everybody within the Northeast Tennessee area probably knows somebody within that realm. And I think a lot of folks would be shocked on, and the term witch is very overly used, and a lot of these folks that you would meet, they are every bit of a Christian in the true sense of the word, but they practice remedies that would have been frowned upon at one time. My grandmother was what they knew as a seer. She was able to just right away, and I've seen it, see her just look at a woman that could be like 2 weeks pregnant, and she would say, "Oh, well, congratulations," and it was everything to do with the aura surrounding them, to the glow of their skin, and the way that they carried themselves, and all the way down to where she, this is kind of a crazy story, but she was able to accurately predict where a dead body was in Maryland. So it's again, there's something to it around here, and you can call it intuition, you can call it gut feeling, but I think for us, we want to shine a light on it, and really, not projected in a way where it's nefarious or evil, and I think we've heard the phrase TikTok witches, where they care more about the aesthetic than they care about the actual historical lore behind it and surrounding it. And a lot of these people are, a lot of the folks that you talk to, that are truly into it, they don't even like the term witch. They like, being called healers or healers is a big thing around here. And a lot of it boils down to, if we look at the course of history, even holistic practitioners and alchemists, and they were all persecuted at one time. You could just point a finger at somebody and that was a witch, right. If it just thought differently from you.
Well, I mean, there's even like how ridiculous is it? Like witching water, that's not witchcraft, but they call it witching water.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, Nathan, you could probably, how does that work? Do you know how that works, Nathan?
Not everybody can do it.
Well, I think most people, I mean, I don't know, I can do it. I've done it millions of times. You walk out there and you cross two, little metal rods or do whatever, and you just lightly hold them in your hand and they'll start bouncing.
Your divining rods and
dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods.
But okay, so copper, if you're using copper, it has a static, I don't want to say it, like an attraction to static. That's why it takes mold out of a room right away, because there's a static that's always built up on it. So that static pressure aligns with the water itself. The motion of the water creates almost a semi-magnetic field that goes through it. So that's what you're getting, and that's why it works. That's just the science behind it.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's fascinating stuff, but even boiling it down to like what they would call it green witch, and it just means that you pretty much have a green thumb. And my wife, we haven't burned her at the stake yet, but she's constantly she's constantly putting lavender in the house to make us feel better. Plus, it smells good, and a lot of plants that produce oxygen and absorb anything bad in the air. There's science to all this stuff,
right?
And that's really what we're trying to shine the light on for it too, is that it's become so dark, and we've even seen folks out there taking safety pins to prick their thumbs and put it and there's really not a lot to that other than just aesthetic. Yeah.
See, I like this comment here, Crafting and Conjuring, saying it's interesting to hear what mundanes think about us. So we're being called mundanes. Good to see you, Gypsy, as always. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, we think that you're great. Yeah.
Right. I know. If only I could take those dowsing rods and find that sandwich, Gypsy, then I would be on to something. So, good to see you here, Gypsy. Nice. Gypsy's supposed to have made me a sandwich and brought it to me in my dreams. I have not got that sandwich yet, though. Still waiting, Gypsy. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. You look back at, like I said, witching water or doing, basic things. You were talking about alchemy, and things that people would look at that as being witchcraft at one time, but it's not. That's
it's
just
science.
Basic science.
Yeah, it's science. Yeah. We look at the medicinal compounds of most modern day medicines, and a lot of them, I won't say a lot of them, but they use natural properties. It was all compounded at one time from something natural. So yeah, I mean, it's you could really point your finger at everything and call it witchcraft if you're superstitious enough.
Yeah, if she weighs the same as a duck, Monty Python stuff. Burn her, it's like that's what I go back to. It's just so ridiculous. So yeah, anybody else got anything they want? Tombs, you got anything you want to add to that? Gutters, old man. Yeah.
I don't think so.
All right. Yeah. So so that's the one you're working on now. So you're going around, you're interviewing a bunch of, I guess, people through Appalachia about that. That'll be interesting. So when will that be wrapped up, good to go?
I'm hoping to have that released by October. That's going to be the biggest project of the year for us. I'm sure of it. Like I said, we're in the B-roll footage right now. So I'm just running into the forest and getting really pretty shots and going to rivers and old sleepy towns and getting all those shots. So we begin doing interviews in July, and it's actually going to be at a Witches Coven retreat. And we're going to be there interviewing them and really get their true stories. And it's shocking on how many folks that we've had reach out to us to want to be in this. All the way from I've had Viking practitioners reach out to me that want to be interviewed, and we may have UFO experiencers that practice in magic. So it's going to be a very interesting one. But again, we're not here to make fun or cast judgment or anything like that. It's where you truly want to know, what your methods are. And I think that, with this, it's to, one, enlighten people on what it really means, to practice this stuff, but also, shine light on Appalachia, because I think that, for us, we've kind of become, we were in Appalachia, especially in Southern Appalachia, we were very forgotten for a long time, and there's plenty of remnants to show how forgotten that we were. It's kind of sad in a way, but then somehow we've become viral in Appalachia, and so now it's like, look at, and it's all these crazy superstitions that they talk about Appalachia, like don't go up a flight of stairs in the woods because you're going to be zapped to another dimension. And a lot of these things are old wives' tale. The reason why you don't walk upstairs in the middle of the woods is because there's no foundation and the building around it is collapsed. So
you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah, you're going to get hurt. So it's that stuff is designed to scare you, not zap you to another portal or dimension. That happens every day anyways through CERN.
I mean, that's
right.
Our parents do that a lot in this area. They, it's like the fairy tales. They tell you something to scare you, to really make it stick in your head, because they know they're not just going to listen to reason as a child, so they have to scare you to make you remember something. It's a weird kind of psychology parents like to do to their kids here.
Yeah, most of those things. You look at nursery rhymes, you look at old tales, old stories and stuff like that. Most of that is like it's kind of like the 10 Commandments. I mean, the same kind of thing. If you do these 10 things, chances are you're not going to have a bad life. Don't bang your neighbor's wife. Don't steal from people. Don't kill. You know what I mean? There's these basic things that, hey, if you do this, you can look at it religiously, or you can just look at it common sense wise. Hey, here's 10 things. If you do this, you'll probably have a decent life. Right. I mean, that's kind of how I look at that. So I'm excited to see that come out.
Yeah.
So you guys gonna volunteer for the healers and stuff to see if they can work whatever they're doing? I don't want to call it magic, but whatever the process is.
Yeah, I mean, I would be actively involved in that. It's for me, I can tell you just, not without giving out too much information about my personal life. I was critically ill, about around age 34, age 35, and nearly passed away. And it was actually my neurologist that informed me that you probably need to seek holistic practitioners. So I went I did a full dive into it, because at that point I was desperate. And I was shocked on just how much holistic practitioners were able to help me with just everyday things, that I would not have been aware of, because, I had trusted modern medical science for so long, and you should, but you should also in conjunction work a lot with the natural remedies that we have as well too. So I'm a big proponent of. I'm constantly telling John to take a certain type of mushroom and take this. Nothing magical, but but I think what he took. I think you were taking lion's mane earlier. So,
I had some lion's mane gummies.
I'm kind of disappointed you said not magical.
Not magical. Yeah,
we would have been in for that ride.
It's been too long. It's been too long.
But yeah, so it's so as far as it goes, I don't care to dress ridiculous and make a fool of myself if it means I make other people look smart, and and that's okay. So
no. I asked about the healers because they usually have like home remedies, like plant-based stuff that they usually use, stuff that opens pores or does something in your body, in your gut to heal you. They usually know a lot of that stuff very well.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So one of the granny witches that we'll be interviewing, my wife had actually thrown her back out, so you can kind of tell we're in our 40s now. But it's she had thrown her back out, and this granny witch actually gave her black pepper black pepper scrub. And she said, just put this on every night. And I think the first night she felt significantly better for it. So apparently it helps with inflammation and pulled muscles. And but yeah, I fully trust the holistic side of things. Now, if you can find a good practitioner and somebody that you can trust, absolutely. Now, there's going to be folks out there as far as healers that are going to be very gimmicky, and they're going to throw everything that they've ordered from Temu at you. But go find folks that truly forage. The one I had in Chattanooga, he constantly taught classes about foraging, and I truly credit with him for saving my life. Shout out to Chattanooga Holistic Medicine. Go check them out. So.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of stuff there that is probably better than what they're feeding you. I mean, I don't want to go too much into that topic, as far as meds, the Lord knows the overseers might get mad at us, but it turns into one of those things where it's take this, and it's like, well, now this happened, and they're like, well, now you got to take this because of that. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, you finally end up at the end, you're getting those things, you read those things like this may cause, and when I read anal seepage, I'm just like, I'm out. I would rather have whatever this is.
You're right. Like my wife and I were watching a commercial last night, and I think it was to lower your LDL, but it made your genitals and anus swell. And I was like, well, that sounds terrible.
Right.
I think I would just deal with the high cholesterol by eating better.
Right. Yeah,
I'll
you can
take
always
my
do
chances on a heart attack.
Yeah.
If I see an ad on TV where the lady's riding a bike on the beach and her hair's blowing in the wind, I know immediately I'm not taking whatever that is.
Oh yeah, fully agreed.
Hey, big shout out here, Mishka. Gutters, you want to thank her there for that?
Yes, thank you, darling. I said thank you in chat, but I much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love you, darling.
Shout out to you, Mishka. Yeah, thanks a lot. I know people always, appreciate the support and stuff like that. That is very nice of you, Mishka.
Yes.
We love you over here. Yeah, some of those things you to laugh about it, but yeah, you read the side effects and you're like, well, holy shit, I don't feel that bad.
Well, and I think the way like my practitioner taught me is, he said, well, a lot of there's medicines out there that are great, and things that will truly help you, but it's important to treat the cause and not just the symptoms. So, and that's a key factor right there, is that you really want to get to the root of it. So I always tell folks that if you're going to go to the doctor, get you a really good doctor that you trust, but then also go to, an integrative doctor as well too. But at one time, you could have screamed witchcraft and they would have been, stoned to death.
If you ever go to an Amish community, see how they eat, how they do things, the process they do. They have a lot more things in there that understand nutrients of plants than we ever would.
Absolutely. Well, and you're not getting a lot of bad chemicals or anything either. And we haven't. I work in an area that has an Amish market, and I'll go there and buy some of their food, and I don't feel. It sounds silly, but I don't feel bloated. I don't feel inflamed. I don't feel any of that, whenever I eat that. And, and I was one of those folks that swore off bread for a while, but I can eat that and be A-okay throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's a good point put out by, sorry, Nathan, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, good point put out like by Budman's wife over here. Honey's one of those things that people, totally look over. You have to make sure you get your local honey. It's kind of pointless unless you're just trying to, sweeten something, more naturally or something like that. But I mean, these people have allergy problems. They have, all these different things. If you just take a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, put it in your coffee every morning of honey, your local honey, make sure it's really local honey, buy it from a local person, support your local communities, go there and do that. You won't have allergies anymore. You won't have these problems. And it has so many healing things, and you'll be healthier.
Oh yeah.
And don't use metal in your honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does that do? I forget
It
what that is.
messes with the bacteria,
Yeah, if you like
the
use a
good
metal
bacteria.
spoon, like if
Yeah,
you use
you're
a metal
supposed to
spoon.
use wood or plastic.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
You know, also the honey on the shelf is like less than 1% honey.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, they
pretty much
dilute it
just
so
syrup,
much. Yeah, all the good stuff and it's gone. So that's why you should get local.
Come on, we know there's only one good use for those honey bears that you buy on the on the shelf at the grocery store, and it's not the honey.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I use honey.
She's thinking of whipped cream.
No, I use honey for wound care for like my horses, because usually when they tear something up, it's a big cut. So you're not just putting some Neosporin on it. You got to slather it up. And honey is a natural antimicrobial.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's amazing. And I got that from my granny witch. So
my wife's papaw.
That was my grandma and my mom. They knew all these things. Yeah.
Absolutely. My wife's papaw was always like, tablespoon of honey every single day, and you're a-okay. Yep.
Yeah, my mom swears by for wounds and stuff that what is it called? Manuka honey.
Mm-hmm.
Have y'all heard of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great.
She swears by that stuff.
Yeah, and it's really good, and it's cool too. Honey's the only thing that never goes bad. I mean, didn't they found it in like was it King Tut's tomb, I think, or one of those tombs? They found honey, that was actually still good. It had been that long and sealed in that tomb, and it was actually still just as fresh and just as good as it was when it was put there.
Yeah,
So-
never throw honey out. Even if it crystallizes, you can warm it up. Putting it in the sun is kind of one of probably the better ideas. And just let it warm up, and those crystals will go away. Just don't throw honey away because it gets hard.
Not even if you get it from a mummy.
Right, exactly. Even if you might get the curse of the mummy, but at least you got the good honey out of it.
Right?
Don't steal the mummy's honey.
I want to thank Jean. Thank you for the $5 super chat.
Look
Jean
at that.
Gambler.
Jean.
Right on. Much
There you go.
Awesome.
Gene coming in for you. There you go, Gene. Much appreciated. Everybody loves that kind of support. So, have you run into anything scary doing any of this? How's all that working out? I mean, is it anything shocked you? Anything been like, ooh, well, that's off the wall, or?
I think the most recent case, and I won't speak for John, but I think the one that we're getting ready to film on the 30th, it came to a shock. It came as a shock to us for what we're getting into, and like I said, I think that was probably the most unsettled I've ever been. After we had talked to Rick about it. But, I think that we're up to the challenge for that. And I think that Rick trusts us with that as well, too. As far as anything recently, I can't think of anything other than, we got cussed out by an EVP at Sensible Tunnel.
So we do want to talk about the tunnel here in a minute.
Yeah.
I actually did want to talk about the tunnel, because that's kind of fascinating to me. I looked into that. I guess y'all were, recently looking into that. But so let me ask you first, though. So you're filming these things. What are you filming with? Just out of curiosity. I'm kind of into photography and
Well, let's see here. We've been doing this for 3 years now, 4 years now almost, and so I think it started out with a webcam on a computer, and then it went from that to a Google Pixel, and then now we continue to upgrade our gear. So now we're into the pro grade era of our Wendibros career. So it's now we're up to the Sony Pro cams with the 4K resolution. So we have the DJI drones. We have what else do we have? We also have our Hollyland wireless mics, F-Fine mics. So we're slowly climbing, but we wait for. So far, we haven't been. I think we've made maybe 10 cents being the Wendibros.
Right.
So we have real jobs. So our real jobs are kind of compensating for that. So. But no, we've definitely upgraded our game in that regard. So
have you messed with the GoPros at all? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, actually, we have a couple GoPros that we use. And I think John, he usually sets his GoPro up as a static cam whenever we're at haunted locations, and then I also have one that's I think a 60 FPS one that I'll sometimes clip onto me to get some POV shots and stuff too. But yeah, we mess with that. To be honest with you, with the lighting on a GoPro, it can be a little bit wonky. So I don't mess with it too much.
With the what on it?
The lighting on it. So the lighting.
Dark lighting.
Yeah.
You know that they do have the dark mode on the newer ones, though. That does help a lot.
Yeah, I'll have to try that out.
Yeah.
So it's, but yeah, we just upgraded the drone after I wrecked that in Georgia. So it's, but no, so the drone's been upgraded with night shot and everything too, so we can get some really pretty cinematic shots with that now too.
How did you wreck a drone? Now I got to hear this. How do you wreck a drone?
That thing just went straight up, lost its mind, went straight into a tree, and fell. And this was actually during filming, and I mean, it just exploded everywhere. I was out there with crazy glue trying to piece it back together just to get it back up in the air.
I want to see this footage.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I'll have to send it. Well, that would be our shops in 1910. But it's I probably have that footage saved somewhere. But it's that thing just went up and straight, and it just got obliterated.
I was flying a drone. Yeah. I was flying a drone one time, and now this was before, they're so much better now.
Oh yeah.
So this was one of the DJI Phantom 2, I think. This big bulky thing. So I'm flying this thing, and I take it off, and I'm at Padang Padang Beach in Bali. And I'm taking it off. I'd walk down. This is where they surfing. It's a really cool place. You got to go through a cave to get, and you come out, and you're just like one of the most beautiful beaches you've ever seen. So I'm taking this drone off, and I walk down to the bottom because there's people. It's really small. There's freaking monkeys running around everywhere trying to steal your shit. It's kind of chaos. So I take it off from down here, start flying it, getting these really cool shots, over the ocean, these huge waves coming in. Didn't realize about 10 minutes later, I come to bring the damn thing back, and all of a sudden the tide had came up like 2 feet. So where I took it off from was no longer there. Now, this was before there was a bunch of satellites. Now there's so many things they connect to, so I was kind of free flying anyway. But the go to home option was obviously gone. So I had to stand on the side of a cliff with no railing, no nothing, looking down. There is none of those safety features over there. And fly that thing with one hand with my controller and catch it midair as it comes through. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that's dangerous too. I've had it's those blades, the way they're going. I mean, it's so I'm so trigger happy with the new one now that I barely have used it. It's like I have PTSD from the last one, and so now I'm just so I don't want it to go more than a mile away from me if I can help it. It's just. It's and even the safe landing zone, I'm over there just watching it and having to hit the emergency in case I need to guide it back. I just don't want to wreck it again. So
yeah, I don't like losing sight of mine.
No,
no. I know some people don't take it a lot
of paranoia
miles.
Behind that. Oh yeah.
And I'm I just like to be able to see mine, at least know where it is. It's easier to bring back. It's easier because they can be kind of stressful.
Oh, they're stressful, yeah. And at first, whenever I had my first one, I was very zen with it, and it was very much a leisure thing. And now it's I'm terrified to even fly it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to lose it again. It's too expensive.
Which one do you have?
I want to say it's the what is it? The DJI. Oh my gosh, which one is it? It's not the Neo. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, it's probably the Mini. Is it the small one?
I think you're right. It's the DJI Mini, but it's the newest model for it.
Okay, yeah, I've got the one. I think the one that we have now still only shoots. My brother and I, we always go in on those things. I think it's outdated at this point. We need to get a new one. That's why I was asking. But I love the ones as long as you can keep them 249 grams. Isn't it 249? And you don't have to.
You don't have to register them. Yeah,
right.
That's what I always go for.
Yep. Same here. Yeah, that's cool. No, I look forward to seeing that footage. Like I said, I might actually make a trip up and watch your theatrical release on that.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Hey, I'm waiting. There'll be popcorn, right?
So cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they can do popcorn if we if we get that lined out. Yeah. Yeah, we gotta get that $5 ticket sale.
Yep, I'll definitely. I'll throw $10 in if there's
There
popcorn.
you go. There you go.
Popcorn and the water. I'll throw $10.
But yeah,
that would be perfect.
we really just want to shine light on Appalachia and these folks that are willing to talk to us, and that's just who we are. I mean, we really just want people to be seen and heard, because I don't think that's a lot of what happens in a lot of these folks' lives either. And we've talked to people that they were like, I would never dream of telling other people the things that I'm telling you right now, and I think it's because we don't just jump at the first thing that shows any signs of something being scary or evil or malicious, or we genuinely want to listen, and if we can help, we will.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you have to listen to what people have to say. I mean, we can all look at something and say, that's a lunatic, or that's a, but maybe not. Like, you have to listen to what people have to say, and that makes it more fun. And knowing what different people have, you got to have an open mind.
Absolutely, yeah. And well, and it also goes down to the realm of you have those that are closed-minded, but then you have those that it almost borderlines on exploitation in a way. And you really just for us, we want you to feel safe in your own home. We want you to feel safe or wherever you're at. So if you're coming to us and something is truly terrifying happening, we want to know why.
So how do most people come across you, like to reach out to you? How does that happen?
I wish I had the answer to that, and John and I were talking about that before we were having a little meeting before we went live with you guys, and I don't know what's going on, but
I think after the once we got to the Saucers Over Appalachia Festival that we did last year, I think there was some word of mouth, because there were a lot of people who came by and just got our information and took pictures and then left, and some people stopped and told us stories, and there were a couple of people that this is in the park in Bristol, I think it's Bristol, Virginia, and it was like a big circle, and so like people were just making the laps and going to different vendors and stuff, and we were one of the only places that weren't selling anything. We were just there to talk to people, and we weren't charging, and it was just like, come talk to us. And there were a couple of people that would come by and look, and they'd hear what we had to say, and they'd say, oh, okay, and then they'd walk, and you'd see them come back, and then they'd kind of walk closer to us like they wanted to talk again, and then and then this one person actually did a third lap and finally came back. She said, I've been trying to decide whether or not I want to talk to you and tell you this story, and I've decided to. And it was a very interesting story. She told us.
It was. She said, I have a really stupid story that nobody's going to like, and it turned out to be. It was incredible.
It was. It was a good one.
Yeah, that's cool. So these festivals, I mean, how often do you go to festivals now?
The festival concept was kind of new to us last year. So we did last year. We sponsored the Saucers Over Appalachia Festival, and we really just set up a recording booth and just told folks to come sit down and talk to us about anything paranormal or anything weird going on. And again, it was a wealth of stories, and some stories, they were like, I don't want to release. I just want to talk to somebody about it. But from there, we've done Tennessee Book Readers Convention, and that was, and again, at our core, we are very much storytellers. There's a lot of, for our case files, and that was one compliment that I really liked, is that Rick said that we were kind of like the old days of paranormal investigators, where there wasn't all this recording and a ton of stuff happening. We have, I'd say probably getting close to maybe 150, 200 pages of just case files typed out. And so, we display, abbreviated versions, and so, for a Tennessee Book Readers Convention, it's, it was very acceptable to be there, because that's
Right.
We're storytellers. Fraggaween, we did Fraggaween last year.
Fraggaween was good.
Fraggaween was a lot of fun. And that was in which we actually did not think we did well at that one, and then I think we got a message the next day to be part of the paranormal panelists for this year.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think they're going to be airing that on Hulu. But yeah, as far as again, I wish I could answer your question about how do these people find us, but they do, and I said, John, I think we have less than 3,000 across the board, but we get a lot of bigger names out there and a lot of folks out there that want to talk to us and see us. I think before we went live, John and I got a message to go to a convention in Illinois for, I think it was like a ParapsychCon in Illinois. So we were kind of shocked by that, but we were like, well, it's an 11-hour drive, and it's not off the table, but we always
you guys have to go.
Are you going?
Well, I'm closer to Illinois than I am to.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely, So we'll definitely, we'll keep it in mind. So it's, but the Fragween is in October, but yeah, so we have, Salsa's over Appalachia in June, which is just right around the corner, which I really need to start getting ready for. And, our cup runneth over, which that's a good thing. Like I said, we took a little bit of a 2-month hiatus. We worked behind the scenes, but, and we were always actively working on something, but, we really wanted to hone in on who we were, and I think, like, you said it best, you get pigeonholed into something and you kind of want to get away from it.
Well, actually, you said it best. You said that. I just repeated what you said. So you said it best, sir. Hey, one thing I want to go back real fast. I see people talking about this. This is really cool. Little Miss Red Velvet talking about, have you seen the light shows with drones? And I know Callie Lisa coming in here. Good to see you, Callie Lisa, saying how about those drones that followed the bobsledders? I mean, isn't it fantastic what they're able to do with these drones now? Like those, like in China and Japan, they're having these, huge, making dragons fly across the sky with drones and all. I mean, like all this stuff. It's like, holy cow, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've watched the Chinese drone shows, and I'm like, I don't know how they can be so coordinated to do something like that. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bunch of, Chinese guys, holding our DJI controllers up there flying those. It's all computer done, but it would be more impressive if it was,
It was real to me.
Yeah, it's fascinating what they can do.
Nice.
It's synchronized swimming, but in the air with drones.
Right, exactly. No, and you talk about those festivals. I would like to go to one. I'd like to go to one of these events. Like, I've never been to one. I'd like to even, set up an Abbinormal booth there sometimes. Maybe talk a few of these suckers into coming up there with me, going to one of those, setting one up and doing that. But I'd want to go like to one that, say you guys were going to or something. You know what I mean? I'm not going to waste my time going to something where I don't know anybody. I'd rather go when I could be like, hey, buddy, what's up? And meet some people and, do something cool. I think that would be neat. Film it, go around, get some good footage and have a good time.
It's shocking on just how much fun they really are, and I think, for the Salsers Festival, I think John and I we were a little bit nervous, and then we got there, and then I think we made so many friends that day, just that we were shocked, and people were pretty complimentary of us. I think John hit the nail on the head that, we weren't charging anything, you just got to come up and talk to us, and I think there got to a point to where you and I couldn't even get away from the booth. Like we were having, So we had to jog a block just to go to the bathroom.
Well, you had made those posters.
That was it. Yeah.
You designed and printed some posters, and we were giving them out to anybody that came in and told us a story. We had one little kid try to come by, and he wanted to tell us a second story, but we were like, no.
Yeah. John was the mean one on that one.
What's like the craziest story y'all have been told? Like somebody walking up. I mean, some people have to come up and like feed you full of BS. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But
what's the most ludicrous, believable story that you've been told?
John, I'll let you go first on that one if you want to.
I wouldn't say ludicrous, but there was a story that it gave me chills when I heard it, and it was so the way it was set up is we were like close to the edge of the park, and there was like food trucks, and they had generators going, and half of the time, if Doug was on the other side of the table, I couldn't hear what they were saying unless I was like right next to Doug. So I was over talking to somebody else. So I didn't get to hear this story in real time. But when we went back and we did our episode where we listened to them all and talked about them and then picked a winner. There was one where this lady had been living in this house, and she was basically getting warnings from this ghost or a spirit or whatever you want. She felt like there was a nice spirit there, and warned them, and kept turning off the gas. Like they had like gas furnaces through the house, and the gas would like just disappear, like it would run out. And she moved out of the house, and didn't it burn down like a year later?
Yeah.
It had a house. There was a house fire, and it burned down a year later. And she moved out because of all these weird things happening. And I'm not doing it justice. The story was amazing. It was just a good story. And so I'm getting chills just thinking about it because it was just a good one.
In a weird way, it was very poetic, and it almost had like what you would consider like a very pretty ending in a way, because you had this family that was essentially being protected by the spirit, and whenever they moved out, then the house burned down. So it's a fascinating story, and I'm certainly not doing it any justice either. But it is available to listen to on our YouTube page. But it's I'm trying to think in terms of I would say I would go a little more sinister. I had somebody message me about 2 or 3 years ago, really seeking advice, and it was the one that it probably scared me the most. And I can't really say it was a story so much as it was a true case. But this individual had messaged me claiming to be possessed, and began sending me images of her beating her head into glass and smashing essentially smashing her face in, and said, "How do I stop this possession?" And so I did some research and digging, and she had checked herself into a mental health clinic, and she would, she ended up releasing herself, and going back, to her family, and her family was, struggling to, I guess contain her, and just kept, really hurting herself and harming herself. And that was an instance of me reaching out to her family and saying, this is not, a case of possession. This is truly, this person is in a mental health crisis. And so, actually sought to get them help and look up, areas that could help them. But for me, that was probably the most chilling thing I've ever had to deal with. And that's one that will never really, release. It's that's going to be as confidential as possible. And then I think from there, I think the one that always sent John and I through a loop was, we'll call her Sophie, but out in Florida. And she reached out to us, and was really seeking guidance on an experience that happened to her, where she believed that she was, gunned down, at her hotel, at a hotel that she worked at. So she saw this individual dressed in all black, pulled out, an assault rifle, shot through the glass, and she remembers dying, but then coming back, and then everything was, it was the same, but it was very different. Her anniversary date was no longer the same. Her friends were telling her that they worked at jobs with her that she had never worked at. And so that sent us into what, is called quantum immortality, which is the idea that no matter, where you're at, if you pass away, then you just essentially wake up and phase into another reality. So it's just really saying that, no matter what, there's all these parallel dimensions and realities. And whenever you pass, you just phase into that, and until you finish that cycle. But we went all the way into the quantum physics of it, all the way down to the DNA structure of it. And we were pretty much saying, like, is life, a choose your own adventure? And that was one,
if you would like to fight the dragon, turn to page 94. If you would like to be gunned down at a hotel, turn to page 28.
But that is like the perfect analogy for it. It's right. It really is. And for that, I have no reason to doubt her story. And it ended up going into, which she gave us the blessing to release this information. But it was, she was working in a hotel that was involved with human trafficking. So whenever I say, we go after the dark stuff, we really do, and we're not just ghost guys. So those are the stories that that one keep me up at night. It did. I think John and I, we were up till, from 5 p.m. whenever we got it till 4 a.m. trying to figure out what was going on, because this was somebody that really wanted to understand why her life was different.
That's crazy. Big shout out there to Johnny Utah coming in there, gifting out a Traveling Fools membership over here. Much appreciated, Johnny Utah. Always appreciate your support. Also, Steve Harloha gifting out another one right there. I'm not sure if I can see who got them, but chat's been moving fast. This is streaming live on like 9 different platforms, so the chat's flowing through over here on StreamYard. But Johnny Utah, Steve Harloha, much appreciated, my friends. Thanks a lot. All this stuff is, it helps. It helps us pay for these programs to run all this stuff and do all that. Thank you so much for your support. Much appreciated, my friends. So I do like that y'all are getting into, other stuff like that. So tell us about the tunnel. I think Tombstones is sitting over here clicking her heels, waiting to talk about this tunnel. What say you? I think I have an image of this as well, so I'll bring that up. Tell us about this tunnel y'all been talking about.
Do you want to take this one, John, or
sure?
You're more of an expert on the tunnel than I am.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed going to it's like around. I went to school in Kingsport, and so this is the drive-through tunnel. So there's actually 2 different tunnels. Some people say there's even 3. We have not found the third one yet, but basically through this tunnel that you see on screen, on the other side, the road sharply curves to the right, and as soon as you come out the tunnel, you see a large plantation house, and that's where the old man Sensabaugh used to live. That was his name, was Sensabaugh, and so there's numerous stories about how if you drive through this tunnel and you turn your car off, completely off. People have said that the car won't start, or they'll hear ghosts, or they might see somebody at the end of the tunnel. And when they turn on the lights, there might be somebody there. It's kind of your basic local haunt. The story goes that old man Sensabaugh had allowed a drifter to come in, and he was going to either feed him or give him some work, but he ended up stealing some silver or some possessions, and he got caught, and so he actually took their young child, their baby, as a hostage and ran away. And when they got far enough away, he supposedly killed it in the river, but we've not been able to find any kind of true accounts of that. What most likely it is that kids were doing this, and it was getting on Mr. Sensabaugh's nerves, and so he was either hiding and making noises or shooting off. There were a lot of people that say that he would come out and he would shoot his shotgun, but. So this is, like I said, this is the drive-through tunnel. We actually went to the walk-through tunnel, which is it's further up the road. You can see that you can see. So
there's okay. So explain this to me. There's multiple of these tunnels.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So you can see that this river runs through this, and this is the way that it was designed. There's train tracks up on the mountain above that. And so they made this so that the river could come through, and that river continues on, and it actually goes through a walk-through tunnel. It's only got like a little short.
So what's the purpose of the tunnels?
A lot of people. So most of these tunnels were for people to get to pass from one side to the other. Some people would use cattle, like if you had cattle or livestock, you could move it from one field to another. There's a lot of fields like that. You can see them sometimes on the interstate. You'll see like tunnels at weird embankments coming out of the one side of the interstate, and it was so that farmers could move from one field to the other. their livestock wouldn't be killed. But this was most likely made for travelers to travel through instead of having to go all the way up the mountain.
Right.
Yeah.
At the point of sounding like a smartass, we all know what a tunnel does.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Can you explain again?
Oh, yeah. So we get from one side to the other of the mountain.
Literal.
But I mean, were these made for like, to actually drive through roads, or were they made for, like you were saying, for, people, passing through livestock or stuff? Because I see the water coming through this. Is this how it always is?
Yeah. There's always water running through. Unless there's a drought, unless the water level's too low, it won't. But I don't know if you can see up in the top left of the tunnel there. You can see that wire, or maybe you can. I don't know if you can see it or not. But there's actually a power line that runs through there too, up along the side. We got a lot of very strange readings close to that, of course. So there's always the possibility that there could have been electricity surging through, but it's just a good kind of folk legend. But the walk through it is cool. way more creepy. I mean, this one's definitely creepy, especially at night. But
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like at nighttime, that would be fun to go there. Like you would expect to see like the the clown, Pennywise, standing there holding a balloon at the end of it, in the dark. You're like, holy cow, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
So what say you, Doug? What do you say about it?
So there's three tunnels that we're aware of right now. So and that whole area is what we would that whole area is what we would consider kind of what you would call a paranormal hotspot. I think there's a haunting just about on every corner there. You have Rotherwood Mansion, you have the Sensible Tunnel, you have the 5 caves right across from it. Then you also have the bridge out there and the Netherland Inn Mansion. So that whole area is just congested with that type of thing. So the tunnels themselves, I mean, for that, they're fairly dilapidated. They're fairly claustrophobic and eerie. So the one that you have pulled up right there, that is a drive-through tunnel, and you can only get one vehicle in there coming or going. So you have to usually pause before you go in there if someone else is coming. That right there is the one that we probably had really no activity at. And again, it's such a coming of age type of thing in this area, where the folks in high school and even adults and stuff. It's like I had to bring this up, but it's yeah. So it's but again, that one right there is typically the most where folks are going to, and it's usually the one behind the lore and legend. What we would consider to be the true one is the one that's actually just a tunnel with a natural flow of water going through it, and that is what we would deem the real tunnel. So the tunnel that we have up here is the one that's most well known, but not what you would consider to be the real Sensible Tunnel. There's 3 different variations of the story, whether it was Old Man Sensible went crazy and killed his family, or Old Man Sensible allowed a thief into his home, and whenever he was caught stealing, he took the baby and drowned it into the river. And then the third story, which is the true one, and there's a lot of folks that disagree with us, but it is the true story behind it, is that Old Man Sensible always had kids, and they're pretty much being kids, graffitiing, as you can see, or going in there and doing other unmentionable things. And he got so fed up with it that he would hang at the end of the tunnel and scream, and in order to scare them. And so he essentially created his own ghost story.
Old Man Sensible? I mean,
Old Man Sensible. Yeah.
Old Man Sensible standing there like, you damn meddling kids.
But you can still pass by his home, I believe. And so we made, and so, the folks there, they always say, oh, they'll shoot at you. They won't, but they do get very frustrated because, I mean, it's very much a touristy area. I will say that the real tunnel, which is the one that you have to kind of do a little short hike to, and you have to walk into. There's very small walkways in there. That is the one that we got the most activity out of. And to be honest with you, we didn't experience it while we were there until we went back and listened to the audio and part of my language. But I think one of the funniest ones that we got whenever we slowed it down and increased the volume and isolated it, which is on our, if you want to listen to it, it's on our socials. It was the one that actually got us kicked out of a paranormal Reddit group because they said that we faked it. Which if I were going to fake it, I would have had the EVP call us handsome or something. But instead, the EVP said these guys look like fucking assholes.
Oh wow! I remember hearing that. Actually, I remember hearing that.
So
that was great.
And so, but the following EVP right after that happened, it said, "That's so rude."
Yeah.
So it was probably one of the funniest things I'd ever heard. But there was also one that really sent chills up.
You want to address this question here in the chat? I got it highlighted.
How come drive through when a river? So for that, there is So from there, you just have a flow of water. It sometimes gets fairly deep whenever there's some heavy rains. I don't know if they ever block it off, John, whenever there's a heavy rain or anything.
Yeah, they will block off the roads because that area does flood very badly. But most of the time, it's only running down the left side of the way that it's like sloped in there. The water stays just kind of on the left side most of the time. This is actually pretty good flow picture. So
so it's so typically the water levels are not so high to where you can't drive through it. Now a lot of folks, they've gone in there and said their vehicle is broken down, and that's predominantly for that is that they get in there and it's in such a flooded spot that whenever they get in there, they get stuck and their car just shuts down because they have all this water intake. Which that's unfortunate for them, but yeah. So the other tunnel is completely walk through. Now the third tunnel, I think that we've managed to locate through chasing ravens who were supposed to go back out and look through there. From what I understand, though, is that you do have to crawl to get inside of it. So I'm not sure which one of us. Yeah, so you have to actually crawl into it. And from what I understand from the chasing ravens guys. Is that it's fairly narrow, so they said that they were going to send John and I in because they're bigger guys. So we'll see if we can squeeze in there. So
yeah, if you need somebody to film you like humiliating yourself, I am always up to be a cameraman. So
okay, that's great news. We really need a cameraman.
I'm pretty good at filming people doing stupid things. So.
Well, we're pretty good at it too.
Right, exactly. I would love to join in on the fun. Absolutely. Yeah, this place looks creepy as hell. I mean,
it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's the scariest story that's ever come out of this?
I think just word of mouth really, and a lot of folks will say that they'll put flour on on the hood of their vehicle and like flour, like for making biscuits and gravy. Yeah, and they'll see handprints on their car, or they'll see somebody in their backseat of their vehicle, or they'll hear a baby crying or whispering in there. I will say that the way that the water bubbles in there with the echoes, it does sound like voices, but that's all it is, just the bubbling of the water.
Right. So you don't. So if you had to say, is it actually a haunted tunnel, or is it just a damn tunnel that a bunch of kids have graffitied?
I would say that one that you have up there would be probably what we would not consider haunted. But with anything, if we were to get into the paranormal side of it, I would say that with all the word of mouth and the negativity surrounding it and the psychological aspect of it, I would say people have made it haunted. But was it traditionally haunted at one time? No. But I think the legend has definitely elevated that.
Well, Callie Lisa wants to know, did you say how old the tunnel is? Like, do you know the history of it?
Let's see here. I can do a quick search real quick, but
while he's looking that up, big shout out to all you people watching right now. Always good to have everybody coming in here on a Friday night. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are streaming live on multiple platforms. We're live on Old Men Builds. We're live over here, Traveling Fools. We're live on LWs. We're live on Tombstones. We're live on Gutters Pub. We're live on, God, am I forgetting anything? We're live on over there on the Wendibros channel as well. going out just, to so many different platforms as once. We thank everybody for being here and hope all of y'all are having a really good Friday night. Thanks for being here.
Tunnel is 106 years old.
160 years old. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. They built that 160 years ago.
106.
Oh, 106. Okay, I thought you said 60. Huh. So tombstones. What do you say about all this? I know you looked up some of the stuff about the tunnels. I know you need to chime in on this. You're muted.
Oops. I was yelling at the cat, so I muted myself. I love tunnels. There's one up here, well, not here where I am now, but when I lived in Colorado Springs, we have haunted tunnels they're called the gold, what is it? The old gold camp mine roads. And there was 3 tunnels that you could go through, and they're haunted. So it's the same thing. People will stall out halfway through, and now they go through and they stop their car, turn their cars off, and you're supposed to be pushed out.
Yep.
I didn't try any of that, but I tried to video, like just going through there. My camera shut off because I'm like talking, and then I didn't even realize it till we got out of the tunnel, and I was like, "What the heck?" Like it hadn't shut off the whole time. So. Yeah,
and where was this
at? It's Colorado. It's west of Colorado Springs, and it goes over the mountains.
Okay.
Like there's Pikes Peak, and I think it's the Pike National Forest. I think that's what it's called through there. But yeah, it's these little dirt roads that go to a town called Goldfield.
I think I think every town has a creepy tunnel. I want to say, but yeah, it's I think that there's something to it though. I think it plays a lot on the claustrophobia, and then also like the auditory sensations of the echoes bouncing back. But again, I firmly believe that the legends that go around this 100% heighten that fear, and I would say, not to discredit anything, I think that there's something to that. I think that people instill with legend the haunting itself. So
yeah, sort of manifesting it.
Manifesting, that's a good word. Yeah,
because they talk about it for so long, they make it happen.
Right. Now what's the legend behind that tunnel, did you say?
Well, I know for sure, I mean, because they were blasting and pickaxes, right, to get through the mountains,
right?
So people died, but they did have some stories that a school bus full of kids, like one of the tunnels collapsed on these kids and killed the whole busload of kids, but that never actually happened.
Yeah.
The tunnel is still open, but you can only walk or ride a bike through it. It's on the bike trail. So, but yeah, there's all different stories, guys. I'm sure people died making these
I guarantee it.
Through the mountains.
Guarantee it. Absolutely.
So it wouldn't shock me that they wouldn't have some haunting.
Yeah, some kind of activity.
I've seen 2 or 3 people in the chat saying that they have been to that tunnel that y'all were talking about previously already. This is the second. I think I saw a third as well. People who were saying that they had been to that tunnel there in Tennessee.
It's a very popular spot, and it's definitely going crazy on TikTok here lately, because I keep getting TikToks of the most haunted places in Tennessee, and it's usually 9 times out of 10, Sensible Tunnel is right up there.
Yeah, I mean the city of Kingsport has a page dedicated to it online, so they're cashing in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's a fascinating area. I would encourage anybody to really go there, though. But just be careful whenever you're going, and it's you do have to kind of park on the side of the road and get down there, and and of course you don't want to be trespassing. So
that's for the walking one.
That's for the walking one. Yeah.
So you can get trespassed there.
Yeah. So there used to be an area like that you would just pull off on the road on the way to that drive-in tunnel. There's just like it's almost like a turnaround spot, and they've they've put boulders and big logs there now, so people can't park there. You have to like park off the side of the road, up the road, and walk down to the walk-through tunnel. But you can drive through the drive-through tunnel anytime. It's just
That's cool. I like this comment here, Tombstone. I think you'll appreciate this one. Slap Happy comes out and says, if my car ever breaks down in a tunnel, I hope Tombstone and Gutters are in the car with me.
I'm probably going to get out the car and slowly
Thank you,
walk
Slap.
myself.
That seems like some sort of weird purgatory, that scenario.
Right.
There's a spanking going on there.
Oh, well. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We get all kinds in here. It is definitely never a dull moment.
But I do like that tunnel. I would think if there's water always, some sort of water always going through that, I would think it would kind of heighten that.
Oh no, I agree with you
Any
about that.
activity,
I think
right?
there would definitely be an amplification. So I know in the tunnel that you have to actually walk into. John and I were doing EMF readings in there, and typically, a lot of folks, and that's the common. That's a big misconception about EMF detectors, that if it spikes, there's a lot of folks out there that'll say, well, that's definitely signs of paranormal activity. Well, no, it could be electrical currents, and that's that in a lot of locations that we've been into. It's usually an electrical line or something giving off EMF, or one of us are recording and we got our phone way too close to the EMF detector. So airplane
You said
mode,
an electrical line was running through the place, right?
Yeah, there is. So right in the center of the tunnel. So, but here's the funny part about that though, is that we did find an electrical line going through the center of that tunnel. And with the water running through it, there could be amplification on that too. But that center of the tunnel is where we captured pretty much all of our activity. I think one of the most chilling parts of that was whenever John was in that tunnel, he had his spirit box, and the spirit box said, "Be quiet." And John, got a little bit snippy and said, "Well, I'm trying." He was like, "Well, I'm trying to ask you questions because you told me." It was like, so he shushed all of us, told us to be quiet. And he goes, "Okay, I'm quiet now. Like, show me something." And then we got a very clear EVP, which sounded like a little girl saying, "He says that now, but just wait." And that was, and again, we go in trying to debunk, and that was like, these were like very clear EVPs to where we showed them to other paranormal groups, and they were like, we've never caught anything like this, and all the way to, you guys are faking that. So it's and I said, well, why on this one particular thing that we haven't even released yet, in the grand scheme of everything that we've released, why would we be faking that one thing? So like I said, I would have said that we were handsome if I would have faked it. So it's
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We see you in all your flesh there. It's funny. There's a guy who does a lot of shorts on YouTube. I run into it in the shorts video, and you and him, Doug, you guys look so much alike that I actually had to sit there and go, "Is that Doug?" like many times this guy does these in kind of conspiratorial kind of things, and I really had to dig deep, and I'll actually send you a clip.
Oh yeah, I want to see that. I definitely get told I have a doppelganger out there.
Yeah, you do. And this guy, he's getting a lot of, and I was like, "Is that Doug?" Yeah, Hey guys, so you good for another 20, 30 minutes? You okay to hang out?
Yeah, I'm good if you're good.
Okay, cool. Let's do this. Let's just for shits and giggles, let's drop the link. If anybody wants to call in, ask any questions to the Wendibros or to us, tell us a funny story, anything like that. I know I see Gypsy still in here. I think she would probably like to chime in on the the witchcraft thing and all that jazz. I'm going to drop the link over here in my chat. Toombs, you want to do that? Gutters, yes. Old Man Builds, any of you guys. Wendibros, drop it in there if you want into your chat. Up to you guys. I'm going to drop it in mine. We'll keep talking for a few more minutes either way. But I'm going to drop that link.
Sure. Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. I like that question right there. If you go to a place anticipating negative energy, are you kind of inviting that energy? And I would 110% agree with that. Yes, you absolutely are. I would say that any place that we go to, we always try to go into a positive mindset, and so if something's going to happen, it wasn't because we were being negative or trying to, and really out of fear too. Again, and it's not to say John and I have nerves of steel, But there's hardly been a place that we've gone to where we've truly been what we would say scared or anything. But yeah, I think that plays a lot of it. So I think that if you are anticipating something to happen, something's probably going to happen. Where the opposite, where you go in, you say, well, this is just another building. Let's see what happens. You may not get anything. And there's been quite a few instances of us not getting anything.
Yeah, I'm a believer. I try not to be skeptical, but anytime we go somewhere new, I try to go in with a skeptical mind because I don't want any kind of confirmation bias. I don't want to go in thinking I'm going to see something and then, oh, there it is. I knew it was going to happen. But and yeah, usually when we go in and we are having a good time is when we actually get things and we're shocked. Because I mean, when we went to the Sensabaugh Tunnel and were walking through, I didn't hear anything, and that's why I was just being silly with it. I was like, well, I'm trying to ask you questions. If you want to talk to me. And so it's always funny. We didn't think anything. We didn't think we got anything from this. We were like, this is a bust. This is just going to be a funny video. But
well, I think your mind can manifest. Like, what is that word? I always forget the damn word. But like when you look up at the clouds and you can see the whale swimming through the thing.
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia. Yeah. Exactly. I always forget that word for some reason. Probably because it's such a weird word. But yeah, that your mind can manifest. If you go to something thinking that something is going to happen, your mind is going to make you think something is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think that plays a lot in it right there. And but it's a weird thing. Whenever we went to the River House with Chasing Ravens, we went in there and we had a great time, but we had so much activity in there too. And that was one where we had a team member named Greg actually have his legal name be called out to him, and that shook him up quite a bit. And then the one with Sensabaugh, whenever we didn't catch anything, another team member that we had, his name was Casey. We let him listen to those EVPs, and he watched in real time as I was, isolating, and I passed it to John. I said, "Listen to this," and John was like, "I did not like that," and we passed it to Casey, who is like a staunch non-believer, skeptic, like does not, he just agrees to disagree. He took my headset and just threw it. Like he was like, did not like it at all.
Yeah,
sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
Sorry, LW, what was that? I'm sorry.
I just said it sounds like something I would do.
I would take the headset and throw it.
Yeah.
And then flip the table.
Right.
Yeah. It was one of those instances, and you get it like all over social media. Like, I'm sorry, I do not claim this negative energy. That we watched, our friend Casey do that in real time. Like he was like, I want nothing to do with that. And I'm glad that you two went, not me.
So what do you think about all this, LW? We haven't heard much from you. What's your take on this? What do you think about haunted places?
I'm just not really into it. I love listening to the stories, and it's really not my wheelhouse, so I don't have anything interesting to say. But it would be kind of foolish. Any question that I would have, it'd be like, all right.
Well, you're probably more into like the new upcoming thing with the government conspiracies and the.
That's one question I was going to ask earlier. You mentioned Kenneth Copeland and all that stuff. I've been on that kind of kick the last couple of months, investigating, kind of looking into that stuff. It is wild. I was just curious what kind of stuff y'all were looking into about that.
So, without giving too much away,
right? Exactly.
We have been looking into really the indoctrination of, and here's where we can get a little bit controversial. I personally believe in God. But from there, though, I've never really subscribed to the idea of organized religion. I believe in prayer in private, but from there, though, with especially in the Appalachian area, we are in the heart. And I think Rick said it best whenever we talked to him. Like, we are in the buckle. We are the buckle of the Bible Belt here, and there is a certain indoctrination that happens. And it's not to say all churches around here. There's very good churches, very accepting churches, but I think a lot of folks, they read the Bible, but they don't interpret it. And they usually listen to a pastor that kind of explain it to them, but there's very nefarious things that happen with that. Again, without giving too much away, we've had information that there could be, and again, I'm not struggling to say it. I'm struggling to find how I'm going to say it. But what we are finding is that, let's break it down to something like the Illuminati. And if we talk about attachments, and we talk about people doing very nefarious, awful things, you may have to have something attached to you in order to feel it, or in order to feed it. And what we're saying is that these things could be of such negative energy. Where is a better place than, say, a church, where you could probably rile up a crowd and get them feeding that negative energy. A church should never be teaching you to hate somebody. Jesus would sit with everybody here, I would assume, and flip tables, like Tombstone said. But with all that being said, whenever we say attachment, do we mean, that they could have something attached to them that they're trying to feed, that is this negative entity, which we would call like a bottom feeder or a demon, if you'd like to? Sure, maybe they could, but what we're looking at is the symbology of that. Maybe right. It's less that and more of a symbol of what they're willing to do in order to have power.
Well, if you've, I'm sure you have. I'm sure most people have, but the video of him being interviewed by a news lady about that,
absolutely insane. Yeah,
and those in his eyes, and how,
eyes. Yeah.
I'm a total believer in what you just said. That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, and I try to word that as carefully as I can, but it's that's exactly what I'm referencing on there too. And so whenever we had heard about potential Pentecostal pastors doing this kind of thing, we went to research Kenneth Copeland, and sure enough, he's part of the Pentecostal movement, and we and the people that we've talked to, they're like, that, like, we've delved in some dark stuff. We have not delved into Kenneth Copeland dark stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we do have somebody waiting in the back for us, wanting to call in. Our good friend Gypsy joining us right now. How you doing tonight, there, Gypsy?
I'm doing great, fools. How is everybody?
Doing well. Still waiting on my sandwich, though, ladies. Still waiting on my sandwich. Every night I go to bed.
We're gradually getting you to level up to where you'll be able to find it. You're starting to believe. You're starting to believe. You got to be a believer to find that sandwich, fools.
All right. Gypsy says she's sending me a sandwich in my dreams, and I have not gotten it yet. She told me to find a locker. I keep looking. Anyway, Gypsy, what you got going on? I know you probably have a couple things you could ask the Wendibros about stuff that you do.
Actually, it's kind of the other way around. I was wondering if anybody had any questions from me about this particular subject, because I am a practicing witch. I am a white witch. I am a healer, and I'm also an ordained minister. Cool. Also a psychic medium.
Take it away, Doug.
Would you want to be in a documentary?
Sure. I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Well, we're shooting in July, so we may have to get you on a call.
I would not have a problem with that. You guys can find me at Crafting and Conjuring on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So you got any questions for her? Let's make this interesting.
What do you guys got? I mean, if there's anything that you're unsure of, I heard you guys talking about Kenneth Copeland there for a minute. I am an ordained minister, but I'm non-denominational. I do not pertain to any one religious belief, because I do not believe in religious indoctrination. But I am spiritual. I believe in the source. I believe in the one source, which we all come from. So, there's a difference. Religion has taken the words of Jesus Christ and twisted them into words of power and control. And Jesus's words are in there if you just learn how to interpret them correctly. And if you're reading a modern day Bible, then you're never going to get the true word, because most of it's been edited or omitted or embellished by people who weren't even there at the time that these stories came from. So if you're going to read the Bible, get the Ethiopian Bible. And the books that were omitted are just as important as the books that are in the Bible, like the Book of Enoch.
Religion is interesting with that, to where so many different religions have been started by removing books out of the Bible that didn't fit their religion. That is an interesting topic. I would like to say, it's funny you say that about Ethiopian. Do you believe the Ark of the Covenant is in Ethiopia, Gypsy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's an interesting topic.
Yes, isn't it?
Have you looked into the other Abrahamic religions?
Yeah, I study religious history. Not a lot, but yes, I study religious history. What do you have a question about?
Let me butt in real fast. No bits, no shoes, says Cuban sandwich time. Yeah, right now, Gypsy, next time you send a sandwich, please make it a media noches. Just throwing that out there. Because
it's bologna with Miracle Whip on Wonder Bread. Remember? I didn't forget.
I want the media noches now. So,
Miracle Whip people.
Okay, go back to your actual content.
It's Duke's mayonnaise all the way.
I like this guy.
Like a natural laxative.
Real mayonnaise.
Real mayonnaise. Yeah. So.
Actually, none of that stuff is real mayonnaise if it's made with soybean oil. That's yuck. Get mayonnaise that's made with olive oil or avocado oil.
Okay, go back to the actual topic, or we'll be right back to arguing whether or not.
What else can I tell you? What do you need to know?
Well, no, I really just wanted to know about your opinion on other Abrahamic religions. Have you studied Islam, or have you read the Quran, or do you study anything with Judaism?
I've looked into all of them, and again, they fall under the same religious tool to control people through fear. Okay. There's so much more to this planet than what meets the eye, and we're coming to a point in the evolution and timeline of this planet to where the truth is going to be revealed here pretty soon, within the next 2 years. The planets are aligning. There's no reason. This is not a coincidence that all of this is happening all at one time. People are going to be astounded at what is revealed. I'll put it that way. And how far certain people have gone to hide the truth from us.
Well, give us a little more detail. In what way do you mean that astounded by what is about to be revealed? What do you foresee?
Okay, so they've got us trapped in this timeline of thinking that we need to live just to be reincarnated. Ever ask yourself why?
Well, no. I mean, personally, I have not, because I don't really believe in reincarnation. But
a lot of people do.
well, yeah, and they have that right to. But that's what I'm curious. Like, from that aspect, explain that to us.
I can speak from personal experience, because I've been suffering with AFib since I was 18 years old, and I dropped dead when I thought it was fainting, but it turned out my heart was stopping and I was dropping dead. So I went 30 years undiagnosed with this. I just thought I was fainting, but it turned out I was dropping dead. And at one point along the way, I went backwards in time by about 10 years, because the reality I woke up in wasn't the same one that I had left. So you guys are talking about a dimensional time paradox. I've lived it. I'm living it now. I'm 10 years backwards from where I was. Maybe I try to say I should be, but no, they put me here for a reason. I'm right where I belong, right here, right now in this timeline. And we're in a dual timeline right now, because what they did in CERN, I think it was back in 2007, they literally split the timeline, and they've got us in two different timelines at one time. So you there's a lot going on. A lot.
I got a question
and
for
man
you.
has caused a lot of it.
All right, so old man has a question for you.
Is there more than one Ark of the Covenant?
Yes.
How many?
Well, if it's biblical, it
7.
would be 7. But, like, that would be the easy guess on
Yes,
that one.
it's 7. And just so you know, I didn't research that information. Spirit just gave me the answer. When you asked the question, they popped the number 7 in my head.
Okay.
So
Are
honestly,
they on different continents?
Yes. As a matter of fact, there's even one on the moon.
That's right.
Oh. Well,
yeah,
that would make
know
8.
about that.
That would make 8 then, if we had to do that, because unless you're counting the ice wall in Antarctica, being outside and not a continent. But what say you on that, Doug?
About the ice wall? Yeah, I'm still trying to book a plane ticket to get over it.
I know. Hey, let me know when you do. I'm going with you, brother. I am going with you to the ice wall. We're climbing that. We're climbing that mofo.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Bifrost. No.
All these globetrotters.
I want to add it to my collection. Yeah.
I always make the joke about being a flat earther, just for fun, calling everybody globetrotters. I mean, I think it's one of the most ridiculous things. If you ever know somebody who is like I don't want one of these people who has like 7 subscribers and is a self-proclaimed flat earther. I want one of these people who has like 200,000 subscribers that is a flat earther to come on here one night and talk to us about that concept.
Let me know whenever that happens. I'd love to be on there. We John and I back in
I'm
our
gonna
early
watch
days.
me in the chat.
Yeah. Back in our early days, we had a flat Earth fiasco a little bit, and we had to explain the curvature of the Earth and horizons, and it was a whole thing. But it's flat Earth is, and I think it's so funny though with flat earthers, they like to say that they're persecuted right now, but if you actually study history, it was actually quite the opposite. So the folks that actually introduced the idea of the Earth being a globe around that time, they were actually killed.
Yes.
They were actually killed.
Yes.
So it's excommunicated from the church. It was heresy, and
that was heresy.
Yeah.
As it should be. All you globetards out there, joking, folks, joking. That's when I can buy into a whole lot of conspiracies. I still think we got to ask you guys again. I know we got you back up here, but maybe your thoughts have changed over time since you've been here. Doug, did we or did we not land on the moon in 1969?
I think that we did talk about that, and I said that I don't believe that. Okay, so let me preface. Have we been to space? Yes. Do I believe that we've been to the moon in 1969? I don't know if I do or not. I will say that we were at an arms race during the Cold War to get there and to beat other countries there. There's a lot of things that don't add up to me, especially telecommunications from the moon to Earth in 1969, and the fact that we've been unable to replicate the technology that we used to get there at that time. I can't, have I been to the moon? No. Can I confirm it? No. But it's fascinating whenever you speed the footage up, and it does look like a casual walk. I'll just say this quote from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was "Space may be the final frontier, but it was filmed in a Hollywood basement." So,
that's a great lyric.
You guys keep saying you don't think that we had the technology to go, but you got to remember that the Roswell crash happened in 1947, and there was a live entity that was taken into custody after that crash.
Well, what do you think, Gypsy? What do you think,
I
Gypsy?
believe we actually went, but did we see the real video from the landing? Absolutely not.
See, that's where I am.
That's where I'm at
believe.
too. Yeah.
that we did go or we did send something
We
there.
went.
Maybe we
But
didn't
they
go
didn't
in
show us
60
what we really found.
Well, wait a minute. Maybe we didn't go in 69. Maybe that was all a spoof. Or maybe that it was so hard to replicate what we did, they couldn't show us what we really did. What about you, John?
They had
What
to
do you
show the
think?
people something.
Right. What do you think, John?
They had to show the people
wait
something.
a minute, Gypsy. Hang on a second, Gypsy. Let's hear from John. Let's hear John's take on this.
I think we did. I think that it's. I've not dug deep into that one. I mean, so they talk about not having the proper technology or something, but I mean, we pretty much know the government is like always 10 years ahead of anything they've given to the private sector. Right. So, like, I'm sure that they probably did have the technology to be able to go there. Now, whether or not they want to invest the money to go back, obviously, I don't think there was anything there. I don't think there's anything we can get out of the moon.
You probably think the Earth is round too, don't you, sir?
I don't know. I really think it's pyramid because there's pyramids everywhere. So, but yeah, that's
hey, which country in the world has the most pyramids?
I don't know.
Good question.
Maybe South America.
China?
Yeah, it would have to be in South America, wouldn't it?
No. Go ahead, Tombstones, if you know. Answer it.
Mexico?
No. Sudan. Sudan has by far the most pyramids. It is covered up in pyramids. But nobody ever talks about those.
What, Northern Africa?
Right there by, Egypt, Jordan, and all that. But
well, those are tiny.
Well, they're not tiny. I mean, they're tiny.
They're not a great pyramid.
Well, they're freaking pyramids. No, it's not the great pyramid, but they are pyramids.
Technicality.
Lawn art? Is that what you're talking about? Like,
hey, which U.S. state has the most pink flamingos? Okay, we can.
There's like teepees out there, is what they are.
Here's a funny fact. Per capita, which U.S. state or U.S. state gets the most plastic surgeries? That would be Utah. Utah, because of Salt Lake City. Very interesting.
What?
Yeah. Pretty cool. So you think, Gypsy, while we still got you here, we got to wrap this up here in a moment. So you think we did land on the moon in 1969, Gypsy?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. And I think that when they stepped foot on the moon, they realized that they weren't alone. There was already structures there. There was already basically a working base there. And they had to come up with something quick to cover it up. I don't think they were prepared for what they found when they landed. I really don't.
Were they other humans or non-human?
Non-humans.
Okay.
Non-humans.
That's where we found the Elon Musk family.
Right.
So how do you explain the
Palladian.
how do you explain the
I'm sorry.
the thing that they landed with? What was it called? Rover. What was the name of that thing?
The Eagle. The Eagle has landed.
Yeah. How do you explain that thing? Like the tinfoil and the poster board that it was built with.
Well, there were people that wanted to recreate it to make it look like it was fake. So I'm sure that there's fake stuff out there. Yeah, they had to show us something. They had to show us something. They couldn't allow NASA. You got to remember, they had just dealt with that Roswell fiasco. People were talking about what's in space. The government had to feed the people something. Okay, did they go? Yeah, I think they went. But did they show us what they really found? Hell no.
Well, my running theory is if we did go, it was with technology that wouldn't have made sense to people in 1969. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So they had to make it look, because I've seen some of this stuff at museums in Houston, and I've been to NASA 3 feet away. Some of this stuff, and it's kind of insulting to your intelligence.
Yes.
To look at that and be like, well, that's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing that landed on the moon, or what they showed, that looks like a third grade science project.
They did that on purpose. They did that on purpose. You got to remember, our government is all about propaganda. You know, they're going to feed you. It's just like these UFO stories that they're allowing to be posted on the news lately. You know, do we believe that they're actual UFOs, or are they reverse engineered by our own government? There you go. Either way, the technology came from outer space. These phones, this phone I'm using to talk to you, where did we see it first? We saw it on the TV show Star Trek, back when TVs were black and white. Think about it. They already had this design back when Star Trek was showed in black and white.
Right.
Right? Because I'm looking at you guys and you guys are looking at me. That was the exact same thing that we saw for the very first time on a black and white television. What was it? When did Star Trek hit the TV? 1957 or something like that? Where did they get that technology?
Nikola Tesla had that type of technology back when he was doing stuff, and I believe that was in, what, 26?
Right.
Yeah, but that's before Roswell.
Right, exactly.
That's my point. They already had this technology. It was just the Roswell incident made it public because so many people saw it.
Right. All right, Gypsy. So, tell Doug and John here at the Wendibros how they can get in touch with you. We do have one more caller in the back, and then we're going to bounce out of here and wrap this thing up. We got to stick to our timeline, otherwise, Mr. Producer will yell at me. So, Gypsy, tell these guys how, and tell everybody out there listening how they can get in touch with you real quick. And we got one more caller to bring up.
I will gladly do that. You can find me on YouTube at crafting-and-conjuring. I also have a Facebook page, the Lost Art Ministry, if you want to go there, but it's better to get me at Crafting and Conjuring. Just drop me a message through there, or Gypsy Spencer through Messenger. And I spell it JYPSEA.
There you go. So go over there and check out Gypsy. Gypsy, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Please make that sandwich a media noches, and because I think the other one is obviously.
And if you guys. And if anybody out there has any kind of questions about any of the things that I might have some knowledge of, please feel free to contact me. You know, even if you just need some spiritual advice, please contact me. That's what my YouTube channel is all about. I'm trying to help people that are lost, confused, or just need somebody to listen.
All right, will do, beautiful lady. Thanks as always for calling. I'm glad that you did. Haven't heard from you in a while, so make sure you come back on here and check us out.
I've been here. I just don't always call in.
All right, there you go. Love you, Gypsy. Thanks for coming up.
Good to see you.
Love you guys. Bye.
All right, so we got one last person coming in. They do not need an introduction, but they have one anyway.
And keep having as many Duggars as possible. So it's going to be a Duggar America, everybody.
All right, Mr. Duggar, how you doing tonight, fine sir?
I'm doing good. Good to see you there, fools. LW, Miss Gutters, the old man, and that little sugar britches known as Tombstone. two Dougs in one blog, man. We'll have to just take over, So
that's right.
Watch out.
Well,
nice to meet you, fellers. I listen to you. I have I have a real strong opinion about Christ and the Christian belief, and false prophets, false religions. It's quoted in a lot of Bibles of a man with the blue scarf is our word. So, and that sounds like something from the East, So. But as far as UFOs and stuff, they're out there. I don't care. You can say you'll never not convince me from what I've personally seen.
Oh wow!
Happened in the skies above New Mexico and on a shrimp boat out in the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America now, I guess it's called. But people just go about their days unaware of what's really out there. There is a lot of power out there that people aren't aware of. You got people eating
I agree.
kids. They got people out there eating babies, trying to get evil powers. So, I mean, there's some evil shit in this world, but there's a lot of good to combat it. But
I'm just going to say it's so strange that you said that. It's
Yeah.
Is that like a teaser on what you might be getting into in some of these documentaries?
I'm not going to confirm nor deny.
All right, confirm or deny.
no.
I like it.
Yeah.
just remember, you heard it first here on Traveling Pool Show.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with you about that. And I also agree, about, extraterrestrial life. I think that in the infinite expanse of space, it would be naive to think that there's nothing else out there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the stuff like Islam, I'm not a Islamophobist or whatever. It's that religion's made to infiltrate from within. And that's what's been going on in a lot of the stuff that the mass populations are migrating into our country. We don't know who these people are. Well, they're doing it all over the world. They're not just doing it here. And sometimes I think they use the UFO thing to go squirrel, give you something else to look at while other shit goes down. I agree with a lot of things that are going on, with some things I don't agree with. But, just pay attention. I pray about it. And a lot of people that don't read their Bibles, it answers a lot of questions, or may give you some way in what direction you should see. I think
well, it's like if you look at like the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad, that basically translates to submission to God, and like in their terms. And I always thought that was pretty. You're bringing up the Muslim things. And, I don't discriminate on religion. I have Muslim friends. I have Hindu friends. I'm Catholic, but I have my own beliefs. I don't mind hearing other people's. I don't get my feelings hurt if they disagree with me. I've had many conversations with all Muslims and it being only me. And we've talked religion. We've talked different things. And it's funny when people to people actually talking agree on way more than what you see on social media. And I think that's a sad thing.
I would agree with that. And I think that, if anything, for what we see and talking about this stuff, I think that there's a majority of things that are easily false flags. And we are being distracted from the real problems out there. And I've spoken to plenty of Muslims and those of Islam and of all faiths. And, a lot of them all want the same thing as anybody. And that's just, mostly to get along. So I think that, a lot of this stuff is just perpetuating certain narratives that, aren't true. And if they are true, then it would be, heavy indoctrination and not unlike things that we've talked about tonight on the topics. But, I would say, to be a faith and everything, you sit down and I think conversation fixes a lot of things. And I think having a genuine conversation would fix a lot of the issues that we have right now.
One of the funniest things, so I was at this hotel one time and I'm in a 99% population Muslim, world. And I'd been getting friends to be, and I'm staying at this, really nice hotel, and all the security guards, they're all Muslims, and they're all, they don't drink, they don't anything. So I went the last night I was there. I got to be friends with them every night because I would just go outside and sit there, out in the thing and have a cigarette and drink a beer, sitting here listening to, oh no, going over all the loudspeakers. The last night I went there, I went to this place. Alcohol sale wasn't even legal in this place. So I went to the black market and I went and bought 2 cases of, oh my God, Bintang beer. So I go and buy 2 cases of this and I bring it back ice cold. I put them in this big ice chest and brought them out there with security late at night and put it out there. And I was like, all right, guys, let's talk. And I put this down, and I got the whole security night shift. It just hammered. And we sat up and we talked religion, politics, everything one night and sat there. I mean, some of them were so funny. After 2 beers, they were like falling down and stuff. It was absolutely ridiculous. But we talked about, and it was just so cool to have that conversation with these people. And, you know, kind of what it came down to was you were looking at, I mean, people can come in here and say like, oh, the majority of people in the United States are, you know, it's a Christian nation. How many of them actually practice Christianity? The majority of these people in this country are Muslims. How many of them are actually really practicing, you know, what do you call it? Muslimism? I don't know. Right. You know what I mean?
New word created by traveling fool.
Right, exactly. So it was neat to have that conversation with people and actually, you know, open up. And I still get messages. These people still send me, you know, these, you know, their kids like I became like friends over life with a lot of these people. They send me their pictures of their kids having their 5th grade graduation party and their sister-in-law getting married. And you know what I mean? I still get like, you know, at least every 6 weeks, I get a message from one of these people sending me something, you know, like keeping in contact. And I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's really cool.
Right. And it's neat. People aren't that far apart from each other.
Can you add John, you know, back in?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that. Sorry, John. Didn't even see you drop out there.
That's okay. I don't know what happened.
All right, we got you back. I think you're not showing up on the thing. Duggar took your spot. So, Duggar, what else you got for us, brother? We're about to wrap this up.
I just want to know where I can catch these 2 fellas. Okay, it's up there on the deal there now. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. I've got Nightbot dropping their link. Yeah, we're about to go over all that right here. We're about to give them the opportunity to shout out everything in the world if they want to shout out.
Well, I got one thing I do got to say is I hope everybody that's came and watched the channel tonight receives God's blessing. May the panel receive God's blessings. And, you know, Mr. Duggar believes he's just too blessed to be stressed. So y'all take care of your little bitty selves and doodly-doo.
Love you, Mr. Duggar.
Bye-bye.
You're awesome, Duggars. Love you, Bubs. All right, there we go. Hearing it from Mr. Duggars. All right, so let's wrap this thing up. So, Wendibros. 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 I'm about to call you the Indigo Girls or something like that. I came for a monster. I came for... Yeah, right, exactly. So tell everybody what you got coming up or what you got going on, where to find you guys at. I know their links are in the description of the video. Nightbot has been dropping their link all the way through, all their links, Instagram, Facebook, but I'll let them explain this. I've got some of your, stuff you wanted me to bring up right here, ready to go. So you just, rock and roll, brothers.
Sure. John, anything you want to touch on before I?
No, you go for it. You are much better versed than I am.
All right. Okay. So yeah, we have, as you can see right there, Case File Abyss, which is a tentative title with our good friend Rick from the Euroshrine there, where we're going to be diving into how scary humanity itself can be. And I think a lot of stuff that we touched on tonight you may see this kind of surface on it. So, but Rick is a very fascinating individual, a very intelligent guy. And he tends to back up what he says. So I hope that everybody tunes into that. Should be released on our YouTube channel probably in July. We're going to debut that at a retreat, and then it should be on YouTube live that same day. From there, we also have our Appalachian Witchcraft documentary. And that's also, we're shooting for a local theatrical release. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But if that falls through,
I will be invited to.
You get an invite. Everybody gets an invite. But that is a Wendibros documentary, shining light on Appalachian witchcraft, what it truly means. And we will get into the dark side of it, but we're also going to be shining a lot of light on it too. And really trying to brush away the superstitions that surround it and the fear that goes around it as well too, and treating that with the respect that we think that it deserves. And then from there, we have a few other episodic releases coming up, but along with the convention-wise, we have the West Paranormal Expo. Again, we are very grateful and blessed to say that we are going to be featured headliners on there, which we were just as stunned as everybody that we were invited to be the headliners. But we'll be there with Aaron G. Thompson, who was featured in Netflix 28 Days Haunted. And then actually a couple other locals that are near us, Outlaw Paranormal with Jimmy Ricker and Jeffrey Ward. But there's a whole lot of folks that we've come to be friends with that are going to be there. So if you're in Kentucky, if you just want to plan a day to come out there, that'd be a great time to come see the Wendibros talk about, a lot of what we talked about tonight, but what we're really focusing on is putting the research back into paranormal, rather than, going in and just assuming something, really going in there and talking to people, understanding the history, understanding the story, lore, and then, just really getting folks out there to be more investigative rather than reactive. And from there, though, we also we have our own Bristol Mothman now, which we've been asked by a few people to look into. So Bristol, Tennessee has had its own Mothman type of sighting with a winged man. So we should be discussing that here very soon. Past that, we should be wrapping up our Sensibal Tunnel episode. That has been a cursed episode because the first footage that we shot, some of it got corrupted. Went back and shot a second bit of it, which is A-okay. And then I think we're just going to put the finishing touches on that, release that on our YouTube channel. Trying to think of anything else that we have going on. I know there's a few other episodes. The West Virginia Man on Fire, which we were requested to go and look at. Apparently there could be a Will-O-the-Wisp case out in West Virginia, and I always say that if there's anything out there spooky or cryptid-like, I guarantee you're going to find it in West Virginia, which is kind of like the Middle Earth of America in a way. And then I'm trying to think of anything else. So we have the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo. You can catch us on June 12th at the Sausage Over Appalachia Festival, where we'll be set up with our good friends Chasing Ravens. And we may even have a very special guest showing up there. We just have to confirm it. That will be joining us at the booth as well too. And I'm sure he'll be willing to sign some autographs if he shows up. He's a good guy. But we just got to confirm that before we say anything about that. And then of course Fragglewean, which will be in Bristol, and we will be featured paranormal panelist on there, and it should be streaming to Hulu and I believe Amazon Prime on that evening, so you can catch us on there too. But yeah, a lot of stuff in the works. I don't know if I've forgotten any of the topics that we're covering. So, John,
right? We went over so many tonight. It's really hard to. I think Fragglewean. That sounds like fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's actually kind of like it's almost like a hybrid of local artists. It involves local artists, paranormal groups, and burlesque. So
now it's sounding a lot more fun.
Speaking your language now.
Right. Okay, you're reeling me in. Where is this? Where is
Bristol, Virginia. Yeah, so it's just right over there, but it's
right next to Bristol, Tennessee, where the home of country music, right? I mean, that's where country music.
Right near the country music. Yep, right there, right near the Country Music Museum. So, and it's right across the park where we'll be set up for Sausage Over Appalachia as well too.
Yeah, maybe we need to go to that one. Maybe we should all show up there. You kind of sold me at the burlesque, but I do like other stuff going on there too.
When I heard Fraggle, thought of Fraggle Rock.
Of course you did.
I did too.
I get that. Yeah,
I did too.
Of course you did. Well, guys, thanks for coming up. Hang tight here for one moment before let's wrap this up. Sit in the back for a second. I want to exchange a couple things. Gunner's Pub, what you got coming up for us this week?
I will be on vacation for a couple weeks due to some stuff that has gone. I have a vacation coming up and we're going camping, and then the next week I have something going on Friday night, so I won't be here for the next 2 Friday nights.
So the proper answer is nothing. See you.
Nothing, but LW has something to say. Because he gave somebody's word that he would say it, and now he has to say it.
Well, you could have
All
just
right,
waited till it
LW, the
was
ball's in your court, sir.
Yeah, but he wasn't gonna.
You could have just wait until it was my turn. But I wanted to thank the guys for showing up tonight. It was fun
for having
talk,
us.
and I'm really looking forward to that stuff you talked about you were doing. It really sounds interesting to me. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the best recording artist in the South. Give a big woot woot to KJ in the chat.
Yeah.
That's what he needed to say.
Woot. Always good. KJ's not here tonight. She's down there doing some gig in Savannah, rocking it out. So good for KJ, and she's always there. We love her. So LW, you got anything else for us?
I'm going to do the short version like Gigi should have done. Nothing this week.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Old Man Builds, what you got coming up for us, brother?
Well, last time I lifted my gravity flyer on the scale, about 1.5 pounds is the weight loss that I got. And I'm looking to get 7 pounds out of it. I'm going to try to cancel out that scale this week. So I'm kind of excited. I doubled my Tesla coil to see if I can't do it. So we'll see if we got it.
All right. Well, I'm glad you now have 2 testicles. So that is always good to hear.
Double the size.
Right, double the size. Yeah,
Didn't
it's all about
shoot right the other way.
Tombstones, what do you got coming up for us? Yeah, y'all check out Old Man Builds, though. Anybody up here, you can type in, Gutters Pub. You can type in Old Man Builds. You can type in the Wendibros. I know I do have all the Wendibros links in the description of this video. So just go there. They're on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere in the world you can type in Wendibros. They're the only ones. Old Man Builds, only ones. Gutters Pub, only ones. Traveling Fools, only ones. Tombstone Dead Air Time, only one. What do you got for us?
A lot. It's a lot you have to type, though. But yeah, I took a week off because I was sick, so I haven't done anything. But I do have some videos that I'm going to post because even though I wasn't feeling well, I was still hanging out at the cemeteries. So hopefully I'm going to go
In
live.
case she died, she would be there.
Just in case. I wanted to be close to a hole.
Roll again.
Just throw some dirt on me. I'm all right. But I don't have any more haunted cemeteries. Those were kind of a bust. Well, the first one was good. The second one, I don't think it's haunted. But yeah, that's about it. I've got to look and see what I've got going on. But it'll be something. It'll be something fun.
It'll be something great. That's how you got to sell it. It'll be something great and fantabulous.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, don't be out there like, it'll be something okay. It'll be the best thing you ever seen on all of the YouTube streets. Make sure you tune in. Check out Tombstone's Dead Air Time. I know Nightbot has been dropping all these people's links. Go over there and sub them up. Make sure you sub up, support these people. Doug, John, Wendibros, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. As always, make sure before you go and debut some of these things, if you ever have hey, this is coming out next week. Hey, this is coming out on Friday. Hey, this is coming out on whatever. Pop in here the week before. Just text me. Even if you just come on for 5 minutes, we'll bring you up. Tell everybody out there what you got coming up so people, we'll push people over there.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, make sure you do that, man. Be a friend. You got my number. Just text me and say, hey, I got this coming up next week. Can I pop on for a minute on your Friday? You know what I mean?
Sounds good.
Boom, boom. We'll have you up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. As always, thanks for coming on. Hey, guys, everybody out here tuned in tonight, we really do appreciate each and every one of you. I know we had a lot of people coming in here, like Mishka, Gene coming in there, Johnny Utah, Little Miss Velvet, Red Velvet, of course. We all like Red Velvet a lot better. Good to see you. Steve Harloha, all you people who supported the show, much appreciated. We will probably be doing trivia this Sunday night at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Well, more like 10:10 probably because, we never start that on time. And nothing ever starts on time. But, yeah, we do appreciate everybody coming out. Please make sure you sub up everybody over here. Hit the thumbs up on the way out no matter where you are watching from. We appreciate each and every one of you. God bless, and we hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Have a good night, everybody. I'm trying to find something to play. This producer, guys, took everything down. So, I don't know. Here we go.
We're going to write him up.
Thanks for showing up, everybody.
Right. Yeah, listen to what LW says. Here we go. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for being here.